Finspan from Stonemaier Games. Let's zoom in here on your design team and your art team. 1 to 5 players, 10 and up, 45 to 60 minutes. You are a marine researcher seeking to find and observe an array of aquatic life in the colorful sunlight zone, ghostly twilight zone, and pitch black midnight zone of the world's seas and oceans. In Finspan, the fish you discover over 4 weeks will generate a series of benefits as you dive deeper in the ocean. Each dive site specializes in a key aspect of expanding your research. Here are all those components that I am about to show you as we get inside this box. Alright, so we're about to get inside of here. I will say we did get the deluxe components, but I did leave the punch board ones in here so you can see what the retail version of those looks like. So, we start off with, you have the rule book, and you have the Nautoma book, the solo book. So here's your setup, your players setup, an example, gameplay overview, the diving, sample dive turn, end of week, end of game, important notes, personal discards, fish abilities, forage fish, tags, other icons, marine science, and on the back, an ability iconography. Nautoma doesn't follow the rules. So here's a quick little look into that rule book. Alright, there's a spare empty bag. So here are those ones that came in the game, not the deluxe ones. So you'll see the eggs here, and then they flip over to a young fish, and then you have your school tokens. But so there is the ones that actually would come if you did not get the deluxe resources. So there's all those. Talking of the deluxe resources though, here are the deluxe resource eggs. They're nice and orange. They have a slight squish to them. They kind of smush in a little bit. Not like Everdell berry squishy, just a little like kind of rubberyshness to them. Next up I'll show you, you have your player pieces. So you have like a shiny gold here, teal, pink, white, and black, navy, like a black navy. Then you have this little token to monitor the weeks. There are those. Next up you have your first player fish token. Then you have your score pad. As you see, Bryce snuck out the victory in the first game we played. In here you have your player aid, or this is your week tracker board, so you have 2 sides. This side we're all set, and you can see you move that tracker, end game scoring, end of week. Then on the other side you have where you can randomly put the 3 goals. You'll see these lines. I'll show those to you on the tokens. Scoring, end of week, and in this instance, whoever has received the most points gets 3 additional points. And then here are your player aids with a fish card anatomy on one side and ability iconography on the other. We'll get back to that. Each player is going to have a dive board. I'm going to show it to you sideways. These technically go long ways, but they don't fit on the camera that way. So you have your different zones. You have your forage fish, which are ones that start. You have your dive abilities there. This is where you put your fish or your divers when you go to play a fish. And then if you actually put them all together on the back and lay them out, there is a panoramic view of basically a topographical map of the world with the seas and the mountains and whatnot. So there are, of course, 5 boards, as is a 5-player game. Next up, we have this little holder, and what we have put in here is we have put the tokens that you can randomize for that whole end of week scoring. So you'll see these lines right here. That denotes that that's going to go in week 3, so you're going to line those up. And these are double-sided. So then you have this one as well. Right here. So you have all these different ones on these. With how many points you're going to score per young. And that. Then these are the upgraded fish tokens. So here's your young, and there's your schools. And then over here, you have fish cards and fish cards. These ones look different because these are the starter fish. These ones look different because these are the starter fish. So as you can see, again, this is the cost to put them out. These are the zones they go in, end game points, their size, an interesting fact about them, and then this one's if activated, and then this green one tells you where it has to go on the board. I'll cover all of that in the how to play. So you have your starting fish right there. Then before we get to the rest of the fish cards, let's get down here. These are all of the solo cards. Right on here. There we go. There's the solo. So let's see if we can quickly scroll through all of these fish cards. I believe 125 sticks in my head for some reason. So there are all those fish cards. So stick around and join me as I show you how it plays. To set up Finspan, each player is going to get a player board. Each person is then going to be getting 2 starting fish. You can tell these by 2 ways. Their backs are a lighter color than the other fish. And when you look at the front of them, they have these little gray corners. You're then also going to get 3 fish drawn from the fish decks. They're going to get 6 divers in their color. You're going to make a supply of the young fish, the schools, and the eggs. If you do not have the upgraded components, the eggs and the young fish are going to be on the same tokens. You make a supply of those. You're going to choose what side of the achievement board you wish to use. If you use side A, that's all good. You just put it there, and you put the week tracker on the board. If you want to use side B, which is random and extra points, you're going to grab side B. You are going to grab the scoring tokens. You're going to randomly put one on the spot. You'll see the lines match up. So these are for week 1 because you can see the 1 there, the 1 line. These are week 2 with the 2 lines. And then week 3 has these 3 lines right there. I'm going to show you side A. Just know for side B, whoever scores the most points will get 3 additional points. The last step of setup is you're going to put an egg token on each of these icons and a young token there. You are then going to determine the first player randomly, give them the first player marker, and then they can take a player aid if they so choose. You are then ready to begin with the first player taking the first turn. On a player's turn, they can do one of 2 things. They can play a fish card or they can dive. Let's start off by playing a fish card. You're going to take one of your divers. You are going to place it in this row up here. You'll see the little fish card icon with a play. You are then going to play a fish. There are a few different ways you can play a fish. They all have a cost up here in this corner. So this one would cost 2 eggs. This one you have to discard 2 cards. This one costs 2 young and it needs to consume a fish. I'll explain that here in a minute. This denotes the zone it needs to go into. So this barrel eye would need to get played in this row or either one of these two rows. The great white shark can get played in any row because it has all three columns in it. You also have a point down here. That is how many points it's going to give you. This is its size. This is a tag that some cards or scoring goals may ask. And then this one has a when played ability. So it's this one. This has an if activated. And then some of them have this yellow game end ability. So let's go ahead and say we're going to play our blue lanternfish first. To play this card, you are going to discard 2 cards from your hand. We are going to say, let's discard these 2 cards. They go to your own personal discard pile. It is suggested that you turn them the opposite, or that way, and off to the side so you do not confuse them with the cards in your hand, because your hand is played face up. I am now going to take this card and play it in this row. It can be played in any spot in here. However, if there is a fish there, it needs to be bigger than that fish in order to consume it. This is a size 3. This is a size 13. So I would be able to cover that. I am not going to, though. I am going to place it here. Then, when played, I trigger its ability, which is just simply to draw 4 cards from the top of the deck, putting them into your hand. So, let me explain how the great white shark gets played. So, let's fast forward and say I have 2 young fish on my board. In order to play the great white shark, I need to spend the 2 young fish, and then this symbol right here means you have to consume. So you have to play this on top of a previously played fish that is smaller than the 600 centimeters. And anywhere on the board. So in this instance, he could eat up this Catalina goby. If there's a fish or egg token on that spot, it then goes on top of the new fish. And then you would do their when played ability. I'm not going to go into all the when played abilities. Those are covered by using the ability iconography and such, and a lot of the cards have different ones. So again, that is playing a fish. So then for the eggs, just put out this barrel eye. You would just spend 2 eggs, and then because he has this green border on him, he needs to go in this row, in either this spot or one of these spots. We will put him in this spot. So, other fish will have these other borders. They can only get played in those borders. When a player decides to dive, they are going to choose a column. And then they are going to dive in there. First thing you're going to look at is this one. Is there a fish in one of these 3 spots? There is not. So we move down to here. So again, is there a fish in this spot? There is. So I would draw a card. Same, if this one had a when activated ability, nope. We go here. Is there a fish in one of these spots? There is. The pre-printed fish, the forager fish as they're called, count. So I would draw another card. Then, if this is the first time I've dove in this column, I will place my diver on this spot right here, activating this. In that instance, that is take a card from your discard pile. It can be any card. It does not have to be the top one. You can grab any card outside your discard pile, or out in your discard pile. This row over here will allow you to do eggs. So again, you're going to do the same thing. Is there a card here? Nope. Is there a card here? There is. So we are then going to grab an egg and place it on a fish. A fish can only ever hold 1 egg. Here, none, nope. But we can still put it down here to put out another egg. This row here, we are going to look. Is there a fish in one of these 3 spots? There is. So this symbol is an egg is going to turn into a youngin. So we can just turn that egg into a young fish. There is no when activated. There's no fish here. Is there a fish here? There is. So now what we can do is we can move a fish as far as we want, a fish or a school as far as we want, left, right, up, or down. So let's say there are 2 fish in this spot. If I move this fish up into here, this forms a set of 3. So these 3 go and become a school. Once the fish have become a school, you can no longer separate them. They're always going to be 3. A spot can also ever only hold 1 school. So a second school is a no-go. If you have 2 fish and a school on a spot, and a 3rd fish swims in, they stay as 3 fish. They do not form a school because there's only 1 school there. As soon as a fish enters a spot with 2 fish, it will immediately do a school. It cannot keep moving. Also, if you have a school here and a school here, you are not allowed to go through a spot with a school because, again, a spot can only ever hold 1 school. So if I wanted to get this one up there, I would have to move it around that way, or better yet, I'd probably just move that one up. So that is moving that. You then come here. This has an if activated ability, which you would do it, which in this instance is a young fish. And then this bottom one is doing another movement. So that is diving. A week is going to end when when all players have put out their last diver of 6. At that point, you are going to score points for this week's achievement. This one is going to be a point for every egg and or young on your board. So in this instance, I have 2. So we would be grabbing the score pad. We'd have our names here, and then under week 1 achievement, I would put 2, and my opponent would put theirs. You are then going to retrieve all of your divers, like so, and then rotate the first player token clockwise. You would then move on to week 2, week 3, week 4. Again, if you are playing with the B side, after you score points for this week's achievement tile, the player or players who receive the most points from this week's achievement tile also score 3 additional points. So if I had the most with the 2, I would actually be scoring 5 points. Everything else is the same. Once you have made it to week 4, and everyone has put out their last diver in week 4, you are then going to get into the end game. You are going to activate any end game scoring abilities. So in this instance, this is going to put an egg on each fish that has that tag. So as you can see, the great white shark and the viper fish both have those tags. So if they did not already have eggs on them, they would get an egg. This one is that you'd be playing a fish into this column. There is a wide variety of them. After you've activated the game end abilities on fish in your ocean, in any order, you go to scoring. You're going to get game end points. So you're going to go right here. You're going to see if any of them give you points for the game end. You're going to get the points printed on visible fish. So this is 8. It says visible because had I consumed this fish, I would no longer be getting the point on that fish. It's only the one that's on top. Every egg is worth 1 point. Every young is worth 1 point. Schools are worth 6 points. And then every consumed fish, so every fish underneath it, is going to be a point. This includes the printed forager fish. So had I been here, I would be getting 2 points for consumed fish for that fish. Total that up, most points is the winner. That is the basics of how to play Finspan. Again, a lot of the cards are where a lot of the rules come into place, but you are basically playing cards, doing what they say, or activating them as you dive down, and then doing end game abilities. So, that is, again, Finspan. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you'll please head down below and hit like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring the bell. Let me know what your favorite fish is, whether to view or eat. It's up to you. Also down there are ways you can help support the channel by joining our Patreon, donating to Ko-fi, or joining our channel. If you join our channel, you will get exclusive perks such as being able to see our videos early and some certain member-only videos. So I hope you enjoyed and just keep swimming, just keep swimming,